Just imagine, you're sitting on a comfy seat watching your favorite Netflix movie in a big screen just in front of you. And suddenly you hear a smooth voice uttering the following phrases. I'm just gonna turn on the seatbelt sign just as a precaution while we take off. Thank you. And you're in one of the greatest creations of mankind, the aeroplane, which will now take you to your desired destination in a few hours in perfect comfort. And now it's the time to stop this whole imagining game, cause today we're gonna talk about 6 of the most amazing facts about commercial aviation. Some people tend to think about commercial aviation as completely uninteresting and quite boring, but it turns out it's quite the polar opposite. There are many fun facts to be learned about commercial aviation. And today, I have facts ranging from the busiest day in commercial aviation to the infamous poop bag. So without wasting precious time, let's get right into it. Commercial aviation has a history of over 100 years. On a New Year's Day in 1914, the first passenger aircraft took off. It operated between St. Petersburg and Tampa Bay in Florida, which were just 34 kilometers apart from each other, which may sound pathetic today, but back in the day, it was quite a long distance. But this airline service had a very short lifespan of 4 months. But everyone has to admit that it paved the way for today's transcontinental flights, which are helping millions of people to get around the world. The busiest day in aviation history. Airports and airplanes are quite busy places, but the 24th of July 2019 really struck a certain point when it had 225,000 flights scheduled. And lo and behold, all 225,000 took off, presumably burning billions of gallons of jet fuel in a single day. The busiest flight route in the world before the coronavirus struck the world and contributed to shutting down every airport. The South Korean Seoul-Ju flight route was the busiest on the planet. In 2018, there were 250 daily scheduled connections on this 449-kilometer long route, carrying over 14 million passengers a year. The route was so popular that one could board a flight every 15 minutes. It is surprising to know that you can board an aircraft easier than getting onto a bus. I think that's progress for you. The dirtiest place on a passenger aircraft. I think many people believe that the dirtiest place on an aeroplane is indeed the bathroom. But this is far from the truth. Actually, the dirtiest place on a plane, according to modern statistics, will come as a nasty surprise. And that place is the tray table. Now I know what you're thinking. What? The tray table? Yeah, it is actually the tray table. Cause everyone uses it. It has 8 times more bacteria than a toilet flush button. So the next time you pull down the tray table of a plane, don't forget to give it a good clean with some sanitary wipes. Unless of course you like some germs lurking around in your plane meal. The fastest passenger jet in the world. I think many people believe that the fastest passenger jet in the world was the Concorde. But they are far from the truth, cause the Concorde could only travel at a measly speed of 2,179 kilometers per hour. But the fastest passenger jet in the world, which was the Tupelo Tu-144, could travel at a blinding speed of 2,300 kilometers per hour. And it was an absolute beast which took its first flight in December 1968. But despite the fact it was faster than the infamous Concorde, it only flew in a single flight route from Moscow to Almy once a week. The plane only flew 102 passenger flights before it was retired during summer 1978 after doing its duty of going fast for over a decade. It was supposedly retired for its high costs since it could only carry 102 passengers and it was a gas-guzzling giant machine. The evolution of the airplane bathroom. So the first thing you want to know is bathrooms were not always present on aeroplanes, specifically in the ones from the 1930s and the 40s, which were the first time aeroplanes were used instead of airships for air travel. This revolution happened after the crash of the infamous Hindenburg, which resulted in the deaths of about 19 people and brought the most sophisticated way of air travel to a screeching halt. So airships had bathrooms and every facility you'd expect from a luxury yacht. But aeroplanes were quite the opposite. They were noisy, they didn't have pressurized cabins or any luxury you'd expect from an airship, including the bathroom, which was a luxury for some reason. At first, there were no separate cabin or designated area to do your business, and the passengers and the crew would have to use a paper bag, or the poop bag as I call it, could spill during turbulence. And these old aeroplanes especially had quite a lot of turbulence. And the worst offender is pirates would apparently do their business in their shoes or through a hole in the cockpit. But in the 1930s, the Royal Air Force used a flying boat nicknamed the Whistling Shithouse. This supreme airliner was fitted with a toilet that would open directly to the air. When the seat was up, the airflow through the toilet would make a whistling sound. Hence its kinda silly nickname, even though it's appropriate. And the last thing you want to know, don't be afraid, modern airplanes doesn't necessarily poop on your head. And in modern aeroplanes, you would only need a poop bag for your furry companions like cats and dogs. So guys, that's a quick rundown on 6 amazing facts about commercial aviation. Hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, I'm signing out.